You know the vibes. Welcome back to another night at the Hoop Genius podcast, brought to you by NBA 2K25 with myself, Mo Mooncey, and NBA trainer, Mr. Christopher Thomas. CT, what a night of basketball we just had. That
What?
was the most unpredictable night of basketball for both games that I've seen in a very, very long time. We had an impossible comeback, and then we had a game-winning three. Let's break down both of these games, and
Sure.
we'll get a difficult part out early, because I was texting a friend during the Celtics game, and I was like, nothing in this world, like a lot of bad things happen to me in this world, but nothing makes me more stressed out than the Boston Celtics. Nothing. Because they love to make life difficult with themselves. They were up
Yes, they do.
61-45 at the half, right?
Mm,
I want to break this down because Jason Tatum started the game with 13 straight points early on. The Celtics were getting away with Porzingis guarding Josh Hart on some possessions. Luke Cornett was making huge impact. Um, you know, Cat got in foul trouble early in the second quarter, which meant he had to sit on the bench. The Celtics then went to the hacker Mitchell Robinson strategy to take him off the floor. So Precious Achiuwa had to play his first minutes of the playoffs so far. And they then went on a run to take a 20-point lead. On offense, they were doing a great job. Jaylen Brown was really going at Jalen Brunson, capitalizing on those mismatches. What the Knicks were doing that didn't seem to work too well in the first half, but really worked in the second half, was they went to a lot of switching. Because in the regular season, Kristaps Porzingis took 12 threes on pick and pops alone in the games,
mhm.
the two games that he played against the Knicks. Today, because they switched, he wasn't able to get those looks early on. He then left the game and didn't return with a mystery illness that no one really knows. But then the second half begins. Karl-Anthony Towns, because he sat for the whole second quarter pretty much, he's got no rhythm. He has a horrific start to the third quarter. The Celtics are extending their lead. Derek White's blocking Karl-Anthony Towns, Celtics getting out and scoring. But midway through that third quarter, the Knicks finally decided to play some defense. They went on a little
Oh,
9-0 run. They cut the lead down to just 9 points. And the Celtics were missing three after three, which allowed the Knicks to get out in transition, run down the court for easy baskets. The Knicks ended up going on a 25-9 run to cut the lead down to just four. The real difference in, there's a lot of things to break down, but the Celtics were getting to the line a lot in the first half because the
yes.
Knicks were switching and they were targeting those mismatches. In the second half, the Celtics basically decided to shoot exclusively threes, meaning they weren't getting to the foul line. And when CT, you know this as a shooter, when you are missing shots, the quickest way to get your rhythm back is to get to the free throw line and see that ball go
Yes.
through that hoop. But if you're
Yes.
only going to take threes, you're not getting to the line to even get your rhythm back. So how many threes do you want to miss in a row before you realize this is not a good idea? Okay, I make notes during the games.
Mm, mm.
My notes for the second half: Celtics offense, Celtics offense, and I can't even read out how I described it in my notes. That's all. That's all I had to say. This is a family-friendly show. I'm not reading out what I'm going to say about the
Uh,
Celtics offense.
right,
The uh,
right.
the Knicks defense really stepped up, and of course, in the
Mm,
fourth quarter, Jalen Brunson, the Knicks did a great job of targeting Al Horford on those switches, and Al Horford tried to
mm.
hold his own, but at 37 years old, as a big man, there's only so much he can do. I'm going to give you some stats now, CT.
Mm.
Boston's 45 missed threes in tonight's game are the most in NBA playoff history and tied for the third most ever in an NBA game, regular season or postseason. Now, the Celtics shot 15 of 60 from the 3-point line. And I'm not against shooting a lot of threes because if you're driving to the paint, kicking the ball out, moving the basketball, and generating high quality looks, shoot all the threes you want.
Mm.
But if you're settling for step back contested threes off the dribble, now we got an issue. The Celtics tonight generated 25 unguarded catch and shoot threes out of the 60 that they took, and seven of those 25 went in. That means of the 63s they took tonight, 35 of them were either contested or off the dribble and contested. Okay. Those aren't threes that you want to be shooting. I'm not against shooting a lot of threes. When it's working and the offense is moving nicely and you're playing beautiful basketball, generating high quality looks for good shooters in areas where they're good at scoring the basketball, shoot 100 threes for all I care. But forcing threes for the sake of forcing threes because this is your philosophy, now that's where I have a real issue with it. And you saw tonight why that will not win you basketball games, let alone basketball games in the NBA playoffs. The Celtics have to generate better offense.
They just kept shooting threes. And I know you're a Celtics fan, but that's the hard part about watching them all season is they shoot too many threes for the level of talent that they have, the level of high caliber offensive players that they have to resort to shooting that many threes, especially tonight when it's not a statement. It's just protect your home court. Do what needs to get done, and let's get to game two. But 63s is kind of ridiculous, but that's today's NBA. Missing that amount of threes. That's the part where it's like, okay, we're watching kids that just can't quite understand. Stop shooting threes.
You know, if you were like 20 of 40 in the third quarter, right? And you're shooting 50% and you're feeling it, you've got your rhythm, you're hot from downtown, shoot away. Yeah. If you are making me watch 18 missed threes in a row, at some point, can you please just get to the paint, get to the mid-range, run a play and generate a post-up? Oh my gosh. See, the thing is, you know, I'm watching Jalen Brunson play like a superstar down the stretch. And I'm someone who's always defended Jason Tatum. I always defend Jason Tatum. But look at what Jalen Brunson is doing. Okay. He's getting the mismatch he wants. So he's guarded by Al Horford. And then he's having a little dance. He's on the perimeter. Maybe he's going to shoot a three. Maybe it's a step back three. But he likes to get to that mid range. He likes to get 2 feet in the paint and try and spin and get a look like that. There's versatility in it. I watched Jason Tatum down the stretch, and I love Jason Tatum, but it was step back contested three after step back contested three after step back contested three. And I know he has the ability to get to the mid-range and score. I know he has the ability to score off the post. Why are they not running any looks for him, or why is he settling for those looks and forcing those 3-pointers? I understand, okay, you've been missing all night. You might want them to see the ball go through the hoop and keep shooting them and get your rhythm back. But come on, man. You're finding the mismatches. Like Jalen Brunson's targeting Al Horford. Why are you not trying to get Jalen Brunson switched onto you, take him down to the block? You're almost a foot taller than him.
It's the settling part is unsettling, especially when they walk down that big of a lead. And then you see what Brunson does is he either go get the bucket, get a good look, or get a foul, and or both. And for Tatum not to realize the moment is we need a bucket or I need to get fouled. And it's just chucking three. And then, you know, the one good thing about that game, though, is the amount of rebounding at the guard position.
Oh, absolutely.
Phenomenal. I mean, that just shows how much teams were missing, but
11 for Derek White, 6 for Drew Holiday, but then 11 for Josh Hart as well, 4 for OG, 6 for Bridges, 4 for Jalen Brunson.
Just massive amount of just guard rebounding.
Long shots make long rebounds.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the tough in the lane rebounds. These boys want that ball. That was pretty impressive.
Man, I still can't believe it. I still cannot fathom. Like, I understand the philosophy. 3's worth more than 2. If we score this many 3s, we'll win the game mathematically. Cool. It might actually work. It worked last year, right? 4 times out of 7, you can get it to work. But if you're up 20 points, okay, you're not getting stopped. That's a whole nother thing as well. You're living with Jalen Brunson having to be guarded by Al Horford one-on-one on a switch. You're not even running a defense to try and disrupt that. You know, I liked what the Knicks did, and I've got to give credit to especially like OG, Bridges, and Hart. What they were doing for the Celtics to take away the kind of drive and kick game is they would sink into the driving lanes, but then they would hustle back to close out and not give up open corner threes, and that's what they changed at halftime for me. They did a great job on that, but the Celtics defense wasn't the Celtics defense that we expect in the second half. And then on the other, well, it's hard to play defense because every time you shoot a 3 and miss, they're gone. It's hard to play good defense because you're just taking the ball.
Always in transition.
Yeah, man.
No, it was a great display of who wants to win this game and how you're going to win it. And it was funny when Brunson came back in. You know, it was less than 5, and the announcer's like, "Here comes the closer." And I'm like, "Yeah, he's about to do what he does. Here it comes."
You know what? There's not many players in the league that when your team's playing against them, you're really afraid of them in the fourth quarter. Like you might have like Jokic, you might have Luka, but Brunson is up there with the best of them.
Guaranteed. Guaranteed. He's Mr. Clutch, Captain Clutch, whatever you want to call him. He's that dude. And he proved it again tonight. Like for the first time, I would think the Knicks actually got a chance in this series because he's smart enough to do the easiest, simple get to here, stop doing that there. And I think the Celtics are going to try to prove that they can hit 63s in a game. And they might one of these games and blow the Knicks out by 50. But that's fool's gold, as we see tonight.
The difference is, right? So the Celtics missed 45 threes tonight. The
Mm.
previous record in the playoffs was 40 missed threes that the Timberwolves had against the Lakers in their last game. The difference is when the Timberwolves were playing, whenever they saw Doncic or Reeves, they still went to the hoop. The Celtics,
Yes.
regardless of who was guarding them, were trying to get a three. Now, there were a couple of possessions. The Celtics went on a 7-0 run to take the lead back with 2 minutes remaining. And, I think Drew Holiday did a nice job and some of the other players of when the Knicks were switching that defense, the best way to beat a switch is always a slip to the hoop, right? So they would make the slip, but then you get the ball down low, Drew Holiday's in there, and he's finding Derek White open in the corner for a three. Now, that's the kind of three I can live with. But if you're going to be playing as a team and you're seeing the scheme they're running, if I'm sat at home seeing what they're running, why are you not capitalizing on that more when you're there on the sidelines? And then the Celtics had a chance to, well, I was actually shocked though, because all this praise for Brunson, he had the chance to win the game in regulation with a wide open layup that he missed, which was out of character for him. The Celtics then had another chance to win a game with 0.6 left, which is obviously tough, but they couldn't get a good look. And then in overtime, again, they had a chance to win the game. And Mikal Bridges, he stepped up and he just snatched the ball from Jaylen Brown. He snatched his chain. He snatched his chain.
Mikal went crazy defensively. Like you watch his defensive possessions or stances in the overtime, especially, but fourth quarter, that's textbook. That's masterclass of how to keep your arms away from your body, using length and just anticipation and just good old grit. Like, I want the ball. We need the ball. We need a possession. He was getting it done. That was impressive.
That's what he did in Phoenix. That's what he was known for, being a 3-and-D guy. Obviously in Brooklyn, he became the guy for Brooklyn. So it's been a kind of a role adjustment. But now the playoffs are here. Then let's have a look at the box scores. OG and Jalen Brunson both had 29 points apiece. Josh Hart and Karl-Anthony Towns both had 14 apiece. Mikal Bridges had 8 points, but he also had 7 assists, 6 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 blocks. For the Celtics, I mentioned Jason Tatum had 13 straight points in the first quarter. He finished an overtime game with 23 points. That means in 3 quarters plus overtime, he scored 10 points. He was 7 of 23 from the field. 23 points on 23 shots is just not getting it done. Jaylen Brown, 23 points on 20 shots is just not getting it done. Porzingis, nothing from the field before he left. He only played 13 minutes. Derek White, 19 points, but it took him 18 shots to get there. And 16 of those 18 were 3-pointers. Drew Holiday, 16 points on 14 field goal attempts. There's just not the efficiency there. And you're not getting efficiency because you're not getting easy looks. Like,
chucking threes.
I'm looking at the shot chart and it's just a sea of red behind the 3-point line for the Celtics. So
goodness.
you're chugging threes, you're not getting easy looks, you're not getting to the free throw line. Of course they're going to come back. The Celtics were up 20 midway through the third and they somehow found a way to lose this game. And I can't believe it. I can believe it because I say it all the time, but oh man.
It was rough. It was fun to watch the Celtics get walked down. It was fun to watch the mastery of offense.
For everyone except for me.
Just the mastery of the Knicks stay calm, cool, collected, turn up the defensive side of the equation, and just get it done. And it's like, Celtics, there's a fix for this. You can go to the rim. You can draw fouls by driving. And they just couldn't catch a clue. And like I text you, I was like, they deserve to lose this game.
They do. And as a Celtics fan, I'm telling you, I'm glad they lost. I'm glad they lost because this is the way. If they got away with winning a game where they shot 15 for 60 from 3, I would not be happy with that. Jaylen Brown said after the game, in those spots where they have momentum, we can't just fire up threes. I felt like we settled a lot in the second half. Well, hopefully they adjust for
Thanks,
game
Captain
2. And,
Obvious.
BJ's not here. He's taking a little bit of time off. He's traveling a little bit. But what BJ will be saying, seeing as we did 700 episodes already together, so I feel like his brain and my brain have merged into one, is if you're Jason Tatum, you've got to operate from the mid post or the low post area because that's the only spot on the court they can't double team you from. You have the scoring abilities to score from those spots. You are also a good enough passer now at this stage to make plays for your teammates from those spots. However, I'm watching him at the top of the key at the 3-point line, dribble, 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 step back three. Again and again and again. And I don't know whether that's the coaching staff telling him to do that. I don't know whether he's deciding to do that, but he is so good when he allows himself to be good. Whereas tonight he was settling.
Well, I hope it's a plan, a planned gimmick that their coach is putting on, like just keep shooting, just keep shooting. Even if we take this loss, I think they're trying to draw the Knicks out to the three so they can open up. I don't know.
It can't be a planned gimmick to lose game one at home. I refuse to believe. I refuse to believe that.
But that's the hard part of watching this game is like, okay, stop shooting threes. Like, please stop. There was one point, Drew Holiday off a deflection or something from the corner, just turned and chucked it instead of a drive.
Look at this.
Resetting it.
Jaylen Brown, 1 of 10. Jason Tatum, 4 of 15. Derek White, 5 of 16. Drew Holiday, 2 of 7. Al Horford, 1 of 5. Peyton Pritchard, 2 of 5. Sam Hauser, 0 of 2, but then he got injured. He only played 4 minutes. But come on, guys. This is just... We're not going to keep harping on about it. Let's talk about the other game because like the first quarter of the OKC Nuggets game was a blur to me because my head was so fried from what I had to watch from the disgusting performance in the second half from the Celtics that I could barely focus, but I did focus enough to lock in. And we're going to break this down because the Denver Nuggets pulled off the upset in game 1 with just 48 hours since they won game 7. Nobody expected them to win this. I said I'd be appalled if the OKC Thunder didn't blow them out. And I am appalled.
Yes.
And I'm very glad the Denver Nuggets won because if there's one thing I hate in the modern NBA, is when teams decide to foul when they're up 3. I hate it. It's cowardly. Play some defense. And tonight, the basketball gods, whatever you want to call it, karma paid them back. The OKC Thunder were fouling up 3 again and again down the stretch. The timing of some of those was terrible because there was one stretch. Jokic had been subbed out because of the foul trouble that he was in. He was on 5 fouls, right? So OKC are coming out of a timeout. The Nuggets want to foul them, right? And then sub Jokic back into the game. Okay, stop the clock, get Jokic back in the game, and then you go again. However, Shea managed to get an open layup off that out of bounds play. So now Jokic is out of the game. There's like 18 seconds left or whatever's left on the clock. Just play defense. Because if you foul now, you're up 3. If you foul, Jokic can come back into the game and the clock stops. It was cowardly, it was disgraceful, and it didn't work because the Denver Nuggets ended up winning off an Aaron Gordon 3-pointer. And I love it. Chet missed 2 free throws. When we talk about the inexperience of the OKC Thunder, that's where you saw it come into effect. Chet missed 2 free throws. They pushed the ball. Russell Westbrook makes the right play. He's not going to get any credit for it because people don't like to give Russell Westbrook credit. He finds Aaron Gordon wide open for 3. And for the second time this playoffs, Aaron Gordon game winner.
The crazy part is OKC all game have been getting their hands on loose balls, tracking down, just lazy dribble. Great defense all game, all season really, but just great defense. And then for them to have the tactic of foul when you're +3, it doesn't make sense when you have that amount of defensive presence in this type of game. So I'm glad they lost, but I'm a Nugs guy, so.
No, but even from a non-biased perspective, right, as a basketball purist, if you can't trust your defense to get a stop when you are up 3 points and you don't trust your team to win in that situation, so you are going to foul them and force them to shoot free throws, this is why you don't do it. This is why you don't do it.
Exactly.
I'm glad that happened. I really hate that tactic. Early on in the game, the OKC Thunder, they went to a lot of zone stuff when Jokic had the ball. They were trying to zone up on them. They were forcing a lot of turnovers. That's what they do. They have so many pesky defenders. They're getting out and running in transition. It felt like the second quarter, they really turned up the speed to build up a lead in this game. Alex Caruso was absolutely everywhere in this one. He made 5 threes off the bench. He almost made more than the whole Celtics team did tonight. He had 6 assists, 5 steals, and 2 blocks. I don't think anyone off the bench in playoff history has ever recorded that stat line. Shea dropped 33 for OKC to go along with 10 rebounds and 8 assists. However, Nikola Jokic, 42 points, 22 rebounds, and 6 assists. Unbelievable game from him. Aaron Gordon gave them 22 and 14 rebounds, including 7 offensive rebounds. Christian Brown gave them double-digit scoring. Jamal Murray gave them 21.6 assists. Russell Westbrook gave them 18 off the bench. You know, it's like a home game for Russ the amount of times he's played in OKC. But Russell Westbrook stepping up again. Nikola Jokic, even in foul trouble, stepping up and down that stretch in that fourth quarter. Jokic was just unguardable because
Mm.
OKC are great. They've got great perimeter defenders. But what are you going to do when a 7 foot guy, like 300 pounds, just starts backing you down?
Is
What can
determined to
you do?
get to the front of that rim, right?
Mm, mhm.
Unbelievable. And that's the part where it's like, okay, there's a ball player that understands, and like, let's get the shot clock down to where I'm putting you in a position where either you're gonna foul me or I'm getting this bucket, but we're not gonna allow you to play your strong defense at the perimeter. We're just gonna back you down and put in the rim.
It's
He's
it,
tough. He's
it's
just tough.
it's real basketball. It's real
Yeah,
basketball because
just
because it's bully ball. That's what he did.
just basic, just basic. Like not even a clear out. It's just everybody get in position and don't allow your guy to come double.
Mm.
If you do, get ready. You know he can make the passes.
Can we talk about Aaron Gordon's improvement as a 3 point shooter? Because throughout his career, he's not been a prolific 3 point shooter. Let me pull up the percentages because this season, even throughout the regular season, he's been prolific, right? If you look early in his career, he's
Man,
shooting below 30%. And even last season, he shot 29%. This season, 44% from
mm,
downtown. In this
mm,
playoff run, this year, he's not shooting it at a high percentage. He's shooting 29% from the 3 point line in the playoffs. However, the confidence of making so many of those in the regular season has
that's what it
led
is.
into this. And last year in the playoffs, he shot 40%, year before 39% when he won championships. Like we talked about Andrew Nemhard yesterday. Maybe
Mm,
AG is just one of those guys. I know you've been in Denver. I know you've been to the famous house, where he
mm,
turned the
mm.
what is it, like the loft or the what do you call it? A garage into a
It's a
basketball court
warehouse. It's a warehouse,
warehouse.
but
Yeah.
it's a
Uh,
pretty cool warehouse.
what's it like working out with AG?
You know what? I haven't worked out with him, but I've been around him through Nike and all that. He's a good guy, solid as they come, and he's down to do whatever it takes to be part of a winning equation. And I think he was a couple of years ago for the trade the perfect add-on for what the Nuggets needed,
Mm,
and then now, especially this season, he's the perfect addition on the floor for a Jokic. Like
mm.
they don't have to run plays through him. He can rebound and run and get it out himself, or he can outlet. He rebounds. He can hit shots. Obviously, he defends. He just plays good basketball. He's a good teammate.
Yeah, he did a good job as well when he had to be switched on to Shea. Christian Brown and Russell Westbrook both did good jobs down the stretch. I know Shea had a
Mm,
great game, but they did good jobs down the stretch. Um, the Denver Nuggets went to a zone, like we talked about yesterday. They went to a zone down the stretch. That basically helped them win the game. It kind of flustered the
yeah.
OKC offense. And
Yes.
they walk out of there with a game 1 win on the road that they
Incredible.
should not have won. They had no business even being in that game, but they just walked him down the stretch. The fourth quarter, they just walked him down. I'm like, the biggest lead the Thunder had, they were up 14. And they were in the lead for basically the second quarter onwards until the final 1 second, 6 seconds, whatever it was. Like,
Crazy. Crazy. Like it's just unbelievable. 2 games. You couldn't ask for, better endings to like, wow, unbelievable finishes back to back. And the crazier part is all the teams that had all the good rest
mm,
lost.
yeah, yeah, that's
Unbelievable.
we discussed it yesterday. The momentum versus rest debate seems to have been settled today. But but tonight,
It's,
Cleveland try and level the series against Indiana, game 2 at
mm,
home for the Cavaliers. Who you got for that one? Because there is reports that Darius Garland might miss the game and potentially Evan Mobley might be out as well.
Cleveland's in trouble because the Pacers obviously got their groove back. Halliburton is playing with a little funk. Like he hated that tag of
Overrated.
Overrated, most overrated in the league. He's out to prove a point. Without Garland, the Cavs are in trouble. I mean, he's very necessary for them.
Mobley questionable with an ankle injury. DeAndre Hunter with a thumb injury also listed as questionable. I don't know when Garland's coming back, but it's going to be tough for them. And if they go down 2-0 at home,
Yeah,
you got to go out there and
yeah,
good luck. Good luck. But
yeah.
the main event of the night, the Golden State Warriors and the Minnesota Timberwolves, aka the UFC pay-per-view Draymond Green versus Rudy Gobert round number 6.
Let's go.
How
Let's
many
go.
minutes until there's a technical foul in this game?
What's the over under?
I,
Five,
I don't I
four?
don't gamble. I don't know about. I wouldn't even know how to
I,
set
I,
that. But I'm saying
I would
in the
say
first
five. Within the first 5 minutes of the game, dare I say on the tip, because you know everybody kind of jostles
typical.
around and just plays the footsie. And Draymond's been doing that lately. If you watch the jump balls,
Yep.
he's the one jostling and making it interesting. But yeah, I'm more looking forward to Ant-Man
Mm.
going right at Draymond, talking that trash, just spending that cash in this game, in this
But
series.
if you're the Warriors, who are you giving the matchup of Ant-Man to?
Ew, I think it's by committee. I think there's not one matchup because he'll get comfy and he'll get good. I
Mm.
think you got to throw a couple bodies at him, different sizes. This will be the series to play Kaminga and use
Hmm.
him and his 6 fouls, if that.
Yeah.
So
It's
you got to keep it interesting for Ant.
absolutely. It's going to be interesting because the Warriors just beat a team with two bigs. Well, they played a lot of Şengün and Adams. Now you're going to face Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert. Well, Rudy Gobert's big and Julius Randle is quite tall, but also physical.
Yeah,
It's going to be interesting to see how they deal with that. If you want to put Draymond Green on Julius Randle, or you're going to put Jimmy Butler on Julius Randle, because Julius had a great first round against the Lakers. He was playing bully ball. He was hitting the
yep.
offensive glass. He was bullying players down low. He had a great series. He even shot the ball pretty well. I'm very intrigued to see the matchups for the Warriors. I'm assuming that Jaden McDaniels is going to have the Steph Curry assignment off the bat in this one. You're going to have to find somewhere to stash Mike Conley. But who have you got in this series and in how many games?
Uh, I think it goes seven. And I think the T Wolves. I think Ant Man's on a mission to keep a body count going. So
I think it's got to
keep
be
the
T Wolves.
legends.
I think it's got to be T Wolves in 6, because if it goes to the 7, I'm not betting against Steph Curry. I said it last time. I'm saying it again this time. I'm betting because even though he didn't have a huge game, he took all the attention that allowed Buddy Hield to get
Oh,
open,
guaranteed.
right? So, we're gonna have to see game one, 6 and 7 matchup. So the Timberwolves have home court advantage. Um, who you got in game one?
I got the Timberwolves. I just think Ant is focused. I think he's determined to. A couple seasons ago, he was trying to prove his point, and he was just too young and I'd say dumb in the nicest way. Just young and dumb enough not to understand how to take over, when to take over, how to win. And I think he's grown into that, and he can't help but be the man. He can't help but do what he does at a high level, and it's easy for him. And then he's different when he's having fun out there,
Mm.
just playing basketball, smiling. He gets hit, he shakes it off. The refs don't call a foul. He'll shake it off now. There was a time when he was complaining every time. He shook that off. He's playing basketball again, and he's playing free. It looks like he's tough. So
Mm.
I'm riding with him. He's just young enough to be good enough to be ignorance is bliss with going against Steph Curry, going against Draymond. He knows going against Butler. He knows who's on the court, who's the opponent. He's not scared.
And if you're the Timberwolves, you watched that Warriors Rockets series and you saw the problems that the Rockets double big zone caused for Golden State.
Mm,
You can run a very similar defense. The only difference is your half court offense is significantly better than Houston's, which should put
guaranteed.
you in a good position to win these games.
Yeah, they got a chance. They got to withstand the Curry flurries. I mean,
Yep. I'll just live with it. Just make sure that
yeah,
you don't get Buddy Hield and Pajemski and these guys going. I think the key for this series, Jimmy Butler, we know how he left Minnesota obviously the team looks very different now. There's no Cat, no Wiggins, but
Yeah,
a little bit
very
of a
true.
grudge there. I don't know what the reception from the fans are going to be like, because obviously he was out in the Eastern Conference after that. So going
Hmm.
for a playoff series in Minnesota after the way he left, it's going to be interesting. I like tonight that Russell Westbrook got standing ovation in Oklahoma when he
Yeah,
checked into the game. I
that's
really
love.
like that. I
That's
don't
love.
expect Jimmy Butler to get a standing ovation in Minnesota.
I would doubt it. I would doubt it, but I mean, I don't think he's that, you know, maligned anymore in Minnesota as he would be
Yeah, it's been a
in
while.
other places. You know,
Yeah. I
Philly, I think they still hold that. Like, yeah,
I Philly hate everyone though. The Philly sports fans have got to love them. Um, well, one thing that we do know is that we'll be here breaking down the games tomorrow once again. So subscribe to the show, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. CT, I appreciate you as always, my brother. And
yeah.
the playoffs were amazing tonight. Let's hope for two more amazing games tomorrow. Keep this thing rolling, and until next time, get buckets.